to go to the very, very beginning, which is obviously your first brush with alcohol. So can you both please take me through your individual experiences with your first alcoholic beverage?
I would say craft beer specific.
Okay.
When I was 21, I have an older brother that handed me Dogfish Head Worldwide Stout, which is a 14, 15, 16% stout. To which I took a sip and said, holy, I know I can swear, but
do it.
Holy shit, what is this? And I kind of fell into the rabbit hole of craft beer and wanted to learn more. And here we are. I've been in craft beer for about 10 years now, and it's turning over to Catherine.
First was probably like Crystal Light lemonade and real shitty vodka, like behind the bleachers, like real, like 17 years old. Then somebody passed me all the Doublemint gum that I could possibly ingest. But beer wise, my first like foray into craft was at the Bell's Eccentric Cafe in Kalamazoo. I mean, those guys were like the catalyst for craft in the Midwest. And my brother went to K College, and it was like, they had just kind of started to explode. This was like 100 years ago, but they had just started to really, really explode. And Hubs and I went out there and sat down and pounded some Oberons. And we were like, this is great. He was way into beer. I was not, but that is how I started.
I want to go back to Jess's first experience here, because first of all, you're starting off with such a high percentage beer at 21, which I guess we're going to go ahead and gloss over the fact that we're both starting at age 21. Like it's very cute that we're pretending that those are our first experiences.
Yep.
But also very impressive that like you started with a stout and you were like, yes, this is good.
The older brother hazing, not knowing that his sister would actually be like, oh, this is great.
He was like, okay, I'm going to like give her the worst experience of her life.
Exactly.
And you were just like, challenge accepted.
Right. The first of age shot that I ever took was actually Malort.
Oh, you started at like advanced flavors is the way I would put that.
Although one of my 21st birthday, I was handed a shot of Malort, and the rest is history.
How'd that shot go?
At the time, terrible, but now it is my shot of choice, being in the industry for quite some time. I mean, you're drinking an old style. You know how it is.
Yes, that is true. But to be fair, old style is not Malort. What? But that's definitely a common thing in the industry is like, they're like, oh yeah, we do shots of Malort all the time. What like has to change in your brain chemistry that makes you be like, yes, now I want this?
I really think it's developing a bitter palate.
Yeah.
Like people just give you IPAs and, over time, it's not as harsh.
No.
To me, it's like, I say dandelions, grapefruit, and gasoline.
Yeah, and rotten celery.
And
a little rotten celery. Just
delicious.
Just for like sprinkling.
Sure, why not?
Of rotten celery. But a bitter palate's that's what it's all about. It's just developing your palate. Like if you can drink acidic wines and you can drink real happy beers and you can drink, anything that's going to leave your kind of like no moisture left inside your mouth parts, you can do some more.
How much of that is conditioned Stockholm syndrome, and be honest?
Probably a lot of it.
So how do we go from our first experiences with beer to then, all right, let's do this for a living. Let's own, operate, found our own brewery.
We started homebrewing a number of years ago. Chris, husband, who does all of our brewing, was like, he was a runner and a marathoner, and then he was bored with running and marathoning, was like, I need a new hobby that is not going to wreck my knees. And he was like, you know what? Make some beer. That sounds great. And kind of turned into one of these, we entered one homebrewing event and he won. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then he entered another one, and then he won that one. And it kind of kept going and going. And then one day I think I drank 3 or 4 of them in a row and was like, oh my God, this beer works. I am drunk. And it's also very good. And we kind of just started, We went over to Greenbush in Sawyer, Michigan, sat at their bar one day, and on like cocktail napkins and scrap paper, planned out what we wanted to do. And it was nuts. He, at the time, was a full-time attorney, and I was an educator. And we were just like, well, both of these things don't seem great anymore.
Killing our souls, yes. So he took it from damaging his knees and like a more outside body thing to damaging the liver inside, and that was a good trade-off.
Oh, well, like we, as successful ex-Catholics, we just suppress anyway. So we're really used to keeping things just like bottled and inside. So we just bring the emotional turmoil of running an industry like centered place, and then liver damage, and just bring it all to our person.
And we suppress, we push down. Cheers to the ex-Catholics. I'm also one of them.
Success equals success. That's what we say.
Yep. And it's also what our psychiatrists say before they charge us.
Right? Like, get it all out, but do it really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Really fast. Okay.
You have 1 hour. Let's go. Okay. So obviously owning and operating and being a part of that brewery experience, you're going to be around customers all day, every day. And that's a big part of, why people go to breweries is for a sense of community. Because, we can drink a beer at home and kick up our feet on our couch and watch the game, but we make the choice to go to the brewery because of that sense of community. So do you guys have a specific story or interaction that stands out in your brain that you've had either with customers in the brewery or just because of the brewery that you want to tell?
Well, so a big part of my time at Exit Strategy has been during the pandemic, and the constant outcry from customers of the fact that they have not been out in public in over a year, and this is their first experience, and just, the praise that we get for how safe we've done things, how we've kind of unrolled, just a way to still be safe for the community and make people feel like they can go out and they can do it, in a way that is not going to be uncomfortable, but still have that good brewery experience. Mm-hmm. And so at least a couple of times a week, I have people coming up to me and telling us, my mom hasn't been out in a year, mm-hmm. and she's like ready to shed a tear into her beer because she's so happy to be out and about.
It's been, the support on that front has been unbelievable. It's the past 16 months have been just like a continuous punch to the gut, but knowing that the community feels, and community is one of the founding principles of the shop to begin with. I mean, we've been open 6 years, and one of the things that we said before we opened the doors, like on cocktail napkins and scrap paper, was we want to build a community within the walls, and we want to do good for the community, because there's no point in owning one of these things if you can't do good with it. So like, if we're not donating to charities, if we're not hosting pro bono events, if we're not solidifying ourselves as a force for good in the community, both within the walls in terms of like our safety protocols now, and then outside there where we're like doing things for the people or whatever, then there's no point. I'll say my favorite thing is Chicago's Best came to film. And just like the experience of having those guys in here and kind of watching the place both come completely alive, but at the same time, like shut fully down. So they were watching everything that was going on. It was madness, and it was amazing. And like, it was one of those, every single regular that we had at the time was just packed at the bar. Like, we're so excited. And it was really, that was pretty awesome. There's also the story of the young lady that stole a bunch of toilet paper, but that one's probably for another time. It's one of the greatest exit stories ever in the whole world, but I don't know if we got kind of time for that.
She's like, yeah, we do.
No, we have time. No, tell that story right now.
Honestly, it's one of the greatest stories. It was like year 1.5-ish. And we, at the time, we've expanded. I mean, we've just kind of rolled progress-wise from like, we started off with like, you could have beer or water when you were here. You didn't have a lot of options. And kind of getting introduced and settled into the community was like, we're only doing our beer. You cannot get a Miller Lite. You can't get a Bud Light. You can't get a shot. You can get a beer. Like, that's what we do. So we had a couple come in, and he had been here before, and he was bringing a new lady friend. And the new lady friend was on her phone and didn't quite understand what town she was in and was trying to explain to her friends where she was and doing it very loudly. And everyone around her was like, what is happening? She's screaming, I don't know, like Oak Forest or like Forest Park or like River Park. We're like, it's Forest Park, you're in Forest Park. Goes on to order, and she at first asks for a Blue Moon, and we explain that we don't have a Blue Moon, but we do have a wit. And at the time, again, like you could get a beer or like water. There was possibly lemonade somewhere on site, not remotely the point. So she asked for a Blue Moon, and we said, we have a wit. It's going to be better than a Blue Moon. This is the thing that you can have. And she starts off with, well, can I get an orange? We were like, well, we don't put fruit in our beer. And she was like, well, how about a lemon? And we were like, well, we don't put fruit in our beer. And then she screams, what about a lime? And we were like, that is still citrus, which still makes it a fruit. So you can't get any of these things in your beer. We are getting to the toilet paper, I promise. You can't get
just the fruit. Like, come on, girl.
Right. She was like, can I get an orange? We were like, no. A lemon? We were like, no. Well, can I get a lime? And we were like, you can't, it's still fruit. And no. Also, no. So they scream about fruit, and then she's back on her phone yelling about how nobody would give her any fruit. And then stands up from her stool and like kind of, she had clearly maybe had some Blue Moons with fruit prior to joining us. Kind of stumbled off to the bathroom and came back, and like the details of the interaction are amazing. So she came back and she had a very bright blue, like pleather purse, right? And it was shoved full of toilet paper, but not regular toilet paper because we're commercial. So this isn't even toilet paper you can use at home.
Right.
It's coreless. You can't do anything with this. These are giant rolls. It's commercial.
Might be good for teeping, but that's about it.
Right. Like if you're going to go out and like attack your 8th grade buddy's oak tree, then have it.
She was really mad about the fruit and was coming to your house.
I mean, there was an aggressive choice made, and it was to put an enormous amount of toilet paper into this blue pleather bag. She comes out from the table, and the gentleman is just like, his head is in his hands, and he looks at her and he goes, what are you doing? And she was like, nothing. And she got real snippy. And he goes, we've talked about this before. Like there's a chronic issue of toilet paper theft. We've talked about this before. Meanwhile, like there's like tables of other regulars, and everyone is just watching the show. I mean, it was lunch and a show. And he's like, you got to go put them back. She was like, no, you have to put the toilet paper back. We can't do this again. She gets up and screams something that we all say now lovingly, because the whole room heard it. She just goes, I mean, why did you even bring me here? And we were all like, was it to take our toilet paper? It was to deny you fruit. Also, we don't know why he brought you here. The chances are you're not coming back. Yeah. Right. Like walk of shame back to the bathroom, like didn't just put the toilet paper back, like threw the toilet paper in the sink. We're like, is this life now? Is this real? Like, is this real?
And now post-pandemic, what a waste.
Oh my God, if we would have known.
I can't wait. Here's my question was it in like one of those like black dispenser things? So she had to like open that up? Okay.
No, like she got into like the supplies that we kept under. I mean, a lot of places have like,
sure,
like a bin of things.
Right.
Emptied the bin of things into her giant blue pleather bag. Like it was quite a thing. It's exit legend.
And he wanted like, first of all, I almost have to admire her for just like not having the shame, just being like, yeah, whatever. And like now everybody can hear it and is on to me, and I'm still going to argue about this. Like, you gotta admire the brazen nature there.
What's in your bag? It's like pouring out.
Oddly enough, not the first brewery I've ever worked for where that has happened. Now I'm wondering if it was the same girl.
Oh my God, like an epidemic of this woman walking around stealing toilet paper.
A serial toilet paper thief. Well, really, that's just saying that you are a a brewery that has multiple things that customers go for, whether it's the fruit,
highly desirable,
the Blue Moon, the toilet paper.
Right.
There's something for every very specific person.
I mean, to be fair, years later, we've really solidified the game We're not just beer and water. There's a lot more going on here now.
I know, and I want to hear about that. And specifically, I want to hear about this Tux and Flipper event that I saw on your website.
Yes! Amazing. Do you want to talk about Tux? You want me to talk about Tux?
I'll
talk about Tux.
Sure, we'll talk about Tux.
First of all, that reaction, like I'm already pumped to hear whatever is about to come out of your mouth.
Oh my God.
So May of last year, I've been here for about 5 months at that point. But I've known the Valos for quite some time. And I've worked for other breweries.
A regular.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's your favorite customer. Jess, I am sorry on her behalf.
Right. All right. I'll let it slide. Because, so I asked them, I was like, how would you guys feel about brewing a pride beer? I've worked for other breweries that have been brought up, and they'd be like, okay, never mind. I'm not going to push it. And Chris and Catherine, without batting an eye, were like, yep, what do you want to do? And I was like, I really think we should do a rainbow sherbet sour. And they're like, cool, delicious. What do you want to call it? And we're all big Parks and Rec people. And I was like, what is the name of the 2 gay penguins? And after a couple beers and some Googling, we came up with Tux and Flipper, which are the 2 gay penguins that Amy Poehler, Leslie Knope marries. Yeah.
That like awakened a memory in my brain.
Right. Because who doesn't love gay penguins?
Yeah. Like I would not have accessed that memory for years otherwise. And now, amazing.
So we brewed Tux and Flipper. It was one of the fastest selling beers.
Yeah. I mean, we had
absolutely flew. And so
we sold a pallet's worth of 6-packs in 9 days. And that's hundreds of cases.
Yeah, that's insane.
We're like, oh my God. All right. Get after it. I mean, the beer is amazing. The beer itself is spectacular. It tastes, beer and ice cream had a baby and it went into this can.
Oh my God. So it's like all the good parts of a breakup in one bottle.
That's very true. But yes.
Yeah.
Can. Excuse me. Can. True. And Jess is like, this is perfect because now they're always going to listen to me every time I give them an idea.
So we decided that we were going to make it again this year, which is something that we don't normally repackage our lab beers unless they're huge. And obviously this one near and dear to our hearts. So we are turning it into an event. We hired a local guy who literally does tie-dye instruction to come out in a couple weeks. And Catherine and I actually had like a couple Exit tie-dye shirts last year for Tux and Flipper, and everyone kept being like, we need those. So I was like, can we do a tie-dye event? And she was like, absolutely. So this guy's coming out. Everyone is pre-purchasing a white Exit Strategy branded tee to be tie-dyed on site. The instructor is going to show everyone how to customize their own. So you get that. We purchased some Tux and Flipper full wrap glasses.
So cool. So we've taken the can label, tweaked it just a tiny bit. So the entire glass is wrapped in like a rainbow tie-dye gay penguin, love wins, hearts, rainbows, glitter. Not really glitter in our hearts. Right. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. So that'll be a Saturday, June
5th. Yep. There's 2 time slots for that. It's 90-minute sessions. So we'll do a 12 to 1:30 and then a 2 to 3:30. And yeah, we're going to have everything ready to go. So we'll have, all the supplies are going to be here. Tie-dye Jimmy's going to be here. That's a human being.
Tie-dye Jimmy.
That's correct.
That is like the most, it's so simple yet.
So perfect.
Perfect.
Right. It's like perfection. Seeing tie-dye Jimmy when he came in also made it more perfect because I was like, your mask and your shirt and your shorts and like, this is heaven.
Is he all tie-dye?
Yes, ma'am. He was pretty
it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
That sounds like a comic book character or something.
It's a Simpsons character. Yeah, I can see it. Tie-dye Jimmy.
Tie-dye Jimmy. Uh-huh. Oh my God.
He hangs out with Disco Stu. Good job. You spent a lot of time together.
So much time.
This is absolutely amazing.
You know how when you're in college and you get assigned a roommate and you happen to just love your roommate and you're like, oh, just because our names are next to each other in the alphabet, we were like forced into the same room. And then we were like, oh my God, we love each other. I think that's what the pandemic did. I was like, we need to hire Jess immediately. okay, let's go to lockdown and spend every minute of every day trying to figure out how to save a business. Well,
yeah. How did you guys get through last year?
Slowly, methodically, and with an enormous amount of planning. I don't like to say that much good came from the pandemic. However, one of the things that we learned and got very, very good at as a team was to say, all right, so this is plan A, plan B looks like this, plan C looks like this. And if all three plans are ready to implement, then we're going to be okay, because we're not looking to fall. Like, we're always playing offense as opposed to defense, right? So like, if there's another, there were just bumps. There were so many potholes that it was like, so here's what we want to do. But if shit goes sideways, here's what we're going to do. And if it continues to go even more sideways, then like, this is the last kind of like, this is the last plan, the last idea. We operated, I think, I know that we operated a little bit more slowly with getting back, like after the initial shut everything down. We took a fair amount of time to kind of, well, I mean, I took at least 4 days to cry on the couch in the fetal position and watch Downton Abbey reruns. That felt good at the time.
Honestly, only 4 days that's impressive.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was it felt like the longest 4 days of my life, especially at one point when Chris was like, I mean, you need to shower. And I was like, not while Mary Crawley is on screen.
First of all, how dare you?
Don't judge. The Crawleys weren't showering, were they? No, they were not. They were taking baths, and I will do the same. Yeah, I went
like drop
full into my Downton. There's a lot of grief.
They all still fell in love though, and had like very vivacious love lives while also not showering. So I'm just saying.
I mean, you know what? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Nobody ever actually saw them clean. We just saw them in like beautiful clothing.
Precisely.
It's kind of what I say about you.
Sure.
So
that's a new one.
I've never seen you shower, Jess. I just see you in beautiful clothing, like Exit branded everything. Like, Exit.
I'm beautiful.
That's correct. We should start our days like that. We should just come into the shop and scream "I'm beautiful" every morning.
I feel like that's like self-affirmation. That's a good way to go.
It also is pretty on brand for how we operate.
Good. Like that, as you should.
Doesn't feel terribly off brand.
Yelling things.
Screaming. But we took some time, and then we kind of were like, all right, so what are we going to do? If you can't have anybody on site, what's the next thing you can do? We're sitting on a lot of beer, like, what do we do? So then it was, we order growlers, we sell growlers, we do these like pop-up events of beer sales and whatnot. And we started canning aggressively. We hadn't really canned. We weren't big into packaged. We were a lot of like draft and growlers. But with the pandemic, it was like, how much beer can we push out the door, and how many new things can we do? And we started to do 2 new beers a month, which, I mean, we operate on a small system. We're not pumping out, we're not anywhere near close to like Revolution or Half Acre or these big guys that are doing all the good work in the city. We're small. But we kind of figured out, again, how do we get more product out? So we would have these big giant pop-up weekends initially, and then we'd shut it down for a couple weeks, can something else, brew something else, package something else, and then just like pop up again. And then there was the announcement of like, everybody could do carry out. And we were like, oh God, we're not built for that. Like, we don't have all the packaging. Our food wasn't like made to, it's not gonna, I don't know, certain stuff travels well, other shit does not. And, whatever. So I think we were slow on, like, when all the fish dove back into the pond, we kind of stayed away from it and said, all right, we're just going to take some more time. Like, we need to wait, because again, if you're choosing to support all the businesses in your community, but they're all doing the same thing at the exact same time, you're overwhelmed. And then what's the point? So we waited on that. And then last June, we took our janky, gross parking lot, and we turned it into a patio that was serviceable and outside, which is great. Yeah. Thank you so much. Sorry, human person at the door. We'll be right back.
A real human person?
I know. Well, I mean, we had hi, how are you? We had a small to mid-size fire on Saturday.
Oh, casual.
Right. blip on the radar at this point because seriously, if it's not like an explosion, it doesn't even count anymore.
Is it going to shut down the whole brewery? No, we can deal with it.
Oh, it did, just for one day though.
Fair.
It was large enough where we were like, oh, okay. So yeah, opened our first run at having some outdoor dining. Did that for last summer, shut it back down in the fall, and just reopened. Well, I guess we opened it in April, repaved the thing, put in some beautiful like Harry Potter twinkle lights across the parking lot and made it beautiful. This year it's beautiful. Last year it was lipstick on a pig. This year it's like gorgeous. Yeah.
I was going to point out that you never said, you're like, we turned our janky parking lot into a serviceable patio. And I was like, that's a specific word.
But it was exactly serviceable. So we went to the village because we couldn't do anything outside. So like the Forest Park Picnic Grove had just tables everywhere that couldn't be used. And I was like, guys, hey, we need tables. These are nasty, but we'll take them. And they were like, all right, cool. So they just took a bulldozer and they brought them over. And they were gross and they were wooden and they smelled like Florida after a rainstorm. And like they had staples from every kid's birthday party in that. But they worked and they showed us that like their biggest purpose was it showed us that outdoor dining was a thing that worked. And then it was like, all right, we can be janky. We can be like hinky for like one season.
Too, despite them,
smelling like
being gross and sitting in potholes, the outcry of humans that just wanted to
be on site.
Get back. Yeah. Just get back to a little bit of normalcy.
Yeah.
And, have their burger and their pints. It worked for people. It worked for us. It worked for them.
Yeah.
We couldn't ask for more.
No, we did. I mean, it turned into a beautiful thing. We learned a ton from it. We developed our safety protocols because of it. I mean, it really was like, again, it's weird to say that anything good came out of the past like 14 to 16 months, but there was some. And it was, so Chris's creativity with the beer has like gone through the roof. He is at the top of his game. I don't think he's ever brewed better. I mean, I've been around the man's product for 9 years at this point. And confidently, he's at the height of everything good. And that's because the schedule has become more flexible and he can just do whatever it is that he needs to do whenever he needs to do it. He wants to stop and go run. Fantastic. Burn it off, baby. Come on back, make some beer. Like we've just learned how to roll with it more. But another thing was like, all right, if we're going to have people outside and we can't have people inside, what does it look like? One of the things I think that we do well is we look to the end and then we take the steps back. Like, what's the end? What do you see at the end of the tunnel?
Right.
And then how do you get there? Instead of like, this is step A, B, and C. I always try to look at Z and say, this is what you need to get there, as opposed to like, we'll kind of see what happens. Yeah, we're planners.
We love a reverse engineering. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, color code, big giant paper calendars, lots of Sharpies, so many highlighters.
That sounds like you have your life like super together. Cannot relate.
I mean, to be fair, I taught for 15 years.
Oh, then you came equipped for this assignment.
Residual OCD that never left.
All right, before we wrap up, I want to touch on something that I saw on your website that I love and I feel like every brewery bar should do, is that you have a tip jar where you guys can, like, people can just tip the staff right there on the website. It's just $5 and you can just throw it out into the ether. And I think that is amazing. But what inspired that?
We announced that we had the fire on Saturday, and within a couple hours, I mean, I saw online orders coming in and was like, we're not even open. What do these people want from us? And it was they got on and they tipped the staff.
That's amazing. I think we missed the beginning of that. What inspired the tip jar?
So in the initial push of the pandemic, I figured out we needed to do like online ordering.
No, don't be distracted. These are candid shots.
When we were canning and doing all that stuff, we were like, well, we should do online ordering to make life a little bit easier for people, because people were wanting like contactless pickup and all that stuff, but they still wanted to support. So I immersed myself into the wonderful world of janky internet design, I suppose.
Yes.
And I said, you know what? We're working our butts off here. If people want a tip, by all means. And it's kind of a cool thing when it comes through. It gives you the like little shock and joy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been kind of a cool thing. And thank you for saying that you visited our website and scrubbed it, because I work on it every day.
It looks amazing.
Thank you.
It looks so good. Your janky website designing is top notch.
It is. You know what? It is great.
Add that to my business card.
Janky website designing. I think, does it say like badass?
It does actually.
I gotta remember what I think your business card is like badass website design, possibly event stuff, like all
That's
around.
amazing and honest. So
mine says controller of chaos, herder of cats, mom.
nice. I said last night to a group of my friends, I was like, listen, I have pink hair and like quippy comments, and that's what I have to offer. So I think that would be my business card.
Same. I'm good. Well, I mean, I did have pink hair. I'm pinking it again tomorrow, which is not the point of anything, but like, yeah, that's what I bring to the table. Hair
you
color.
have to send me a selfie of your pink hair so that I can post it on social media, and we can do the back-to-back. Like, I have pink hair and she has pink hair, and it'll be great.
It will be great. It'll be so fun.
We'll be very, very unique with both of our pink hair.
A selfie of me drinking pink beer.
Hell yes.
I'm sorry, gay pink beer.
Sure.
Gay penguin.
Specifically.
Right. Specifically gay penguin pink beer.
Yes.
Although it's a lighter pink this year, which is lovely.
It's darn
so good.
I honestly, legitimately, I just want to try it because of how excited you both were about it. Like, that's enough for me.
You decide when you want to come out. You guys you email. We'll do a little before the people get here.
I was going to say, first of all, I just want to come hang out with you two. Like, I feel like this is a friendship right here.
You know what?
I agree.
No, it sounds great. Yeah,
we should just do
tables don't smell anymore. They're plastic. They don't smell.
Legitimately, what else could I ask for?
Exactly.
Oh, well, I mean, at night it does look like it looks like the Great Hall from Harry Potter. So if you're a Potter fan, you can get super excited now.
As long as there is fruit that I can put with my beer.
I'm going to give you a bowl, like in a secret mint, and you can be like, you know what I want in this beer? A grape.
And then as I leave, I'm just going to like get a thing of toilet paper and be like, all right, thank you. This has been wonderful.
We'll save the scraps.
Yes. All right. Is there anything that you want to get out into the ether that we didn't touch on?
I can't. I mean, we talked about toilet paper and penguins and
good, important things. Yes.
And pandemics.
We have a new beer coming out this Friday.
Tell me about it.
Our glasses.
This beer. It's called Wheat.
Right. Mandalorian fans.
It's all Sabro hops.
Yeah.
Well, so what does that mean to the layperson?
So I'm sorry, it's a double dry hopped wheat ale.
Okay.
All Sabro hops. So you get a little bit of coconut.
Yes, like a lot
really,
of
really citrusy. Not crazy hoppy, but it's going to kind of make those hazy people pretty happy.
And it's going to make wheat, right, which is nice because it's not nearly as bitter as like a punch in the face happy beer. It's just wonderful.
Your Star Wars people happy?
Oh my God.
Wait.
Yeah, so wheat people, Star Wars people, happy people.
Penguins
Are literally always welcome
Leslie
here.
No fans.
Leslie No fans are happy. Safety, fans of safety are happy. Yeah. I'm happy.
Wait, okay, this is not related to the interview, just like off the record. Speaking of Parks and Rec, what are our thoughts on Chris Pratt real quick?
In general?
Okay, so I am all about some Guardians Chris Pratt. Let's be very honest.
For sure.
I can see him kicking a squirrel, which I know wasn't really a squirrel, but that's the Exit song, and he's kicking squirrels, space squirrels. But doesn't he have a new a buff a military thing? He seems like a doofus, but in the one I want to drink with.
Yes.
I relate to Andy Dwyer, so give me that Chris Pratt. I mean, give me all the Chris Pratt. I don't care. But I love me some Andy Dwyer.
That tracks.
Give me all of the Chris Pratt. Absolutely. Okay, we have to do like some sort of wrap up real quick. So thanks for hanging out with us today.
Hey, you're welcome.
This has been great. I think that we are now 3 best friends. I know that you thought it was just a you two thing, but I'm actually going to go ahead and invite myself into this friendship.
I'm going to go ahead and just give ourselves a quick little pat on the back and say, not the first person that's been like, you know what, I just want to hang out with you two. We're like, yeah, we don't suck. But you know why we don't suck? Because we've legit spent 10 hours a day together for 14 months. And we text when we're not together.
The secret to success
is immersion. It's kind of like learning a foreign language, only you learn to speak Catherine immediately.
And
I learned how to speak Jess. She learned how to speak Catherine. And now we're bilingual.
And now you are like almost physically bonded.
You are a female force to be reckoned with. That's for sure.
Did you not like beer lingual? It was kind of daddy. It was like a little dad joke. Dad joke. Ugh. Turn the thing off.
She loved it for all of my dad jokes.
I feel like I'm digging a hole. Never gonna come out of it.
It's the most entertaining hole. Let's keep going.
Nope.